What's up, Georgia Bulldogs fans? My name is Scott Duvall, and you are listening to and watching episode 224 of the Waiting Since Last Saturday podcast. Yes, I said watching because in the past couple of weeks, since we haven't done a podcast, I established a YouTube page, so you can just search Waiting Since Last Saturday podcast on YouTube. I'll put a link in the show notes of the podcast version of this. But I downloaded some new software to do a video conferencing because of, everything going on and social isolation. But Tony and I didn't plan on recording a podcast today, but after I did a test call, we just kind of rolled on into just sharing some thoughts on everything that's going on. We talked about Wednesday, March 11th, which was kind of the day that sports ceased. And I think for the right reason it ceased. And then towards the end, I asked Tony to share what games that aren't as popular in football, basketball, and baseball, if he could watch a Georgia game, one of those great games of the past, what it would be. So he's going to share those answers with you as well. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this surprise episode. As for Will, he was a little bit busy this morning. He's fine, but we'll try to get him on one coming up. I would expect some more of these to happen in the near future. So anyway, hope you enjoy episode 224. Here's Tony and me to get it started. When I was thinking back to scheduling a podcast with you and Will, I thought how crazy it is that Wednesday was the line of demarcation in everybody's psyche, and it continues to exacerbate or change every day. And it's just so weird thinking back. Like Tuesday, I had a meeting with a local car dealership to talk about a video. And even though I was hesitant about shaking hands, I still did. And they did too. It was kind of one of it was like a weird pause, like, we'll shake hands. I'm just not going to touch my face. But now the thought of shaking hands with somebody that's short of my family wouldn't even happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. I ran into Seth Emerson. We were literally sitting at the softball field getting ready for Katie's practice when they canceled Little League. So we're like, oh, let's run by Dairy Queen, grab a Blizzard. And Seth actually had exactly the same thing. He and his son were almost to the baseball fields, and he got the email and like, let's go get an ice cream. So and he was like officially the first person I bumped elbows with, just because he was like, well, I was like, I guess we bump elbows. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, it's interesting. So
it is. I really liked your tweet last night about, I don't exactly remember it verbatim, but you were talking about, why am I labeled, like a lib or something if I want to socially isolate? Because we all have aging parents.
Yeah. Yeah. The interesting part about it is like that kind of came up, and not so much yesterday as like Thursday and Friday. It's like this overreaction. And like, it's just like Democrats trying to make people look bad. I'm like, we can be wrong about this, and that's fine, but it's better we're wrong about this instead of finding out we should have done it 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And we should have done it 2 weeks ago, but we'll find that out.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know. I guess my way of looking at it is organizations that are designed to make money don't naturally give up money. And the fact that to a place people are putting aside money for health tells me kind of what I need to know about whether I should trust this is a good idea. The NCAA, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, all those, the universities. You're in businesses. Apple's closing all the stores except for the ones in China. Nike has said they're closing all their stores. These places don't give up money easily. That's not what they do.
Mm-mm.
So.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's not scary really to me. It's just, especially when we're a sports podcast, and I'm looking at through the lenses of sports to, I guess, tell the story. But just the fact that all of them just kind of systematically shut down, and it was just a cascade or a fall of, and then last night I was reading that ski resorts are closing. which
Yeah.
I think is probably a good idea because I've been in a gondola before, and it's not the cleanest place in the world. Everybody's sneezing and you're wiping your nose and everything. Um, but yeah, I think maybe the life without sports makes you a little bit more introspective. You got to look at the bright side of things like this.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. We'll see how I feel Wednesday after spending at that point 5 straight days with my kids. But
Right.
you know, I, the funny part about it is like almost the universal response is like I'd sign up for homeschooling, but including from my kids. But I think the part about this that is going to be interesting how it plays out to see how one if this works, and honestly we
Yeah.
won't know if it works, right?
No.
There always be the counter argument. It's like, well, we didn't have to do this, and that's fine. The other part would be to see how effectively limited we can be with each other in social distancing, just because it's hard to figure out exactly what that means. I mean, we ran to Publix yesterday to pick up a couple things, and it's all the meat was gone, and all it's like, I wouldn't, I because I'm of a certain age, I keep plenty of toilet paper around, but it was just it's interesting. It is really an interesting thing to see. And I want to say part of this, when we talked with Will, but Will was texting us the other day. It's like, is this what the Cuban Missile Crisis? But honestly, what this felt like to me, especially on Wednesday and Thursday, was everybody not in New York with 9/11, with the thought of what's next, what else is going to happen, or almost begging for news out of New York when there really was nothing new to report.
They're kind of the bell cow, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
That's how it feels.
yeah. So it'll be interesting, but I'm glad we got this technology set up. Hopefully we can get Will on board.
Right.
Especially since, I don't think Will's gonna be traveling off to his sub bases for 6 months at a time anymore for a little bit. So it wouldn't hurt my feelings to do something.
Maybe he's going completely off the grid and taking his family with him to his sub.
Yeah. I still have I have now scheduled with Tommy Tomlinson for Wednesday, I think, but I wouldn't mind doing, fairly regularly, if nothing else, to keep my sanity and talk through some stuff.
Well, I think going forward, this might be the type of thing where, sure, maybe we don't put it on Apple Podcasts, but I could easily upload this to YouTube.
Yeah.
People can, it's not like we're sharing groundbreaking information, but I do think that it would be fun to at least bring some levity to it, to discuss what we think would have happened in the SEC tournament, or what we think will happen pro forma with college football and everything like that.
Well, I also think with people at home, some regular content, even on podcasts, would be good. I know it would be. I've had a number of people ask if we were going to do something a little more regular since our schedules are suddenly opened up. So I wouldn't mind engaging in that.
Yeah, and even if it's just you and Will doing something, or you talking to Tommy, or me finding somebody to talk to, I think that maybe that's where we pivot a little bit with Waiting Since Last Saturday. We're not going to change the world, but we can bring some kind of entertainment or lessen the boredom at times for people, because we don't know how long this is going to last.
Right. So
I think people are going to, I think within the next couple of days, you'll see more and more people doing exactly what you're doing, sitting in their office, being at home, and adhering to, just kind of the new social norms.
Well, that was interesting. The better part of my days on, especially Thursday and Friday, we're figuring out what business continuity we're going to do as far as offering services to students in particular, but also we have interviews scheduled for Monday and Tuesday. And, the firms have all jumped right in. It's like, hey, we'll do this via Zoom or via phone. And the students, of course, that's the cool part about students these days, is they're totally on board with technology. They, it's not a mystery to them, unlike us olds.
Yeah. So I've got one final question for you.
Okay.
If you could watch or have suddenly play on your television set, which you can actually, a lot of these games are on YouTube if you just do a search. But besides the well-known games, let's say football, basketball, and baseball for Georgia, just in the past 20 years or 30 years, if you could find a game and say, hey, Charlie, let's sit down and watch this. This is a good, underrated, not as well known game that's awesome to watch. What would it be for football, basketball, and maybe baseball for Georgia?
This is just without actually combing through games. I would probably want to watch the Todd Gurley overtime game at Tech, snatching hope away from them. The only reason there's two reasons why that's not a well-known game. First off, it was the week after the prayer at Jordan Hare. And then also literally at the same time Todd Gurley was running the ball down Georgia Tech's throat, the kick six happened at Auburn. And so, and the reason that pops in my mind is like, we went into the third quarter down 14 points. And I remember looking over to the Georgia Tech fans sitting close to us, and they had the look of dread on their face that they knew what was about to happen.
Right.
And that's kind of why I formulated my theory. There is nothing more delicious than watching and snatching hope away from Georgia Tech fans.
Yeah, that's a good one. I know we've talked about that on the podcast before, and it is crazy to think all the things that were happening at the same time on that Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, the other one is this was on the other night, the 2008 SEC championship basketball game where Georgia beat Archie, and that whole tournament, it would be fun to watch, especially the two games in one day that Georgia beat. I want to say Kentucky and Alabama, or Alabama then Kentucky. So those would be.
Is that it seemed like all of the stars were aligning the same for this past tournament that was canceled, where they played one game and beat Ole Miss, because you had a tornado in the city. There were going to be no fans, and it was just eerily similar to what had happened in 2008, because there was a tornado at the Georgia Dome and there were no fans it was being played in front of.
Yeah. I mean, there were certainly similarities there.
Yeah. So what about with baseball? I know that's a little bit even lesser known.
Probably that super regional game 3 against FSU. What year was that? Was it been 08, 09, somewhere in there? Does that make sense?
Cozy FSU?
Yeah,
or
maybe.
Say Mike Martin, because we know.
Yeah, I'd have to think about when it was, but one of those super regional games.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one, because back in 06, 08, it seemed like every other year they were going to the College World Series. So
yeah.
that was good. And yeah, I mean, Georgia with baseball, and who knows what's going to play out. I saw something, and of course this is old news because it was 48 hours ago, saying perhaps if things get back to normal, and of course we don't know, they could maybe hold an SEC tournament, and that would be it. And for all the marbles, and that would put an extra incentive on not just keeping your top pitchers out of the SEC tournament. It'd be a fun thought process to think about.
Yeah, I saw something for basketball where the Big 12 was still pondering the possibility of getting all their teams together, just playing for a championship. But considering they had probably the top 2 teams in the nation going into the conference tournaments in Baylor and Kansas, that would have been interesting to see play out. The hard part about that is just the time off, what that does.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to have some time off too. We got to that's why we're doing this. We got to, keep our skills a little bit sharpened with this whole podcasting thing, or else it could just leave us. I don't know.
Or just actually sharpen skills in the first place.
That's true. That's always a good thing. Well, yeah, thanks for, we literally spent 5 minutes in planning of this. I was like, hey, I downloaded this app. It records video and audio. Let's try it out. And then it turns into a mini podcast. So hopefully next time we'll have Will be able to join us. We'll try to locate him.
Yeah, if he's not in his bunker or submarine.
That's right. Well, Tony, we always end the podcast with the Go Dog. So I'll say it. Despite everything, hey, be safe out there. Do what feels right, meaning like what you should do. I know
what you're saying. Look, social distance, guys. It's simple. For all you people who are begging for time off, I'm for you folks out there that time off is a financial hardship. There are resources out in the Athens area and other areas, but stay safe. This is even if it's just for nothing else, it's a precautionary method, precautionary thing. It's like putting the gasoline away from a fire. And you can believe that, you cannot believe that, but health experts are saying that. And that's not political. That's just a fact. That's
Yeah,
science.
it'd be great to look back and say, boy, did we overreact to that. But that would be a good feeling.
I would rather say that than say, man, we should have reacted earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sit tight and keep tweeting, and we'll see you on the flip side.
All right. Go dogs.
Yeah. Go dogs. All right. See ya.
All right. See you, man.
And thanks so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as for the resolution and sound on this, it'll be better next time, because literally I had downloaded it 10 minutes before I called Tony, and it was just on the fly. So I'm going to tweak the settings on that. But anyway, feel free to subscribe to our podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast from. Yes, I'm being redundant, but subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's brand new. And, make sure to follow us on Twitter at WSLS Podcast, even on Instagram, and we're on Facebook as well. So if you want to get in touch with us or send us some thoughts or photos or whatever, let us know what you think about the video concept of this. But yeah, we'll see you on campus, hopefully sometime soon. But stay safe out there, and as always, go dogs.